Stop reheating these foods today. What I'm about to show you could completely change the way you look at leftovers forever. Most people believe that if food is heated thoroughly, it's automatically safe to eat. But what if some of the most common foods in your refrigerator are undergoing chemical changes every time you reheat them? Changes that scientists have linked to inflammation, cellular damage, accelerated aging, and even an increased risk of certain cancers. The most shocking part is that the foods we're talking about today are not fast food, junk food, or highly processed snacks. They are foods often recommended by doctors, nutritionists, and health experts. And the fourth food on today's list is one that almost every health-conscious person believes is completely harmless. Stay with me until the end because what you'll learn may change the way you prepare meals for the rest of your life. Before we begin, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and which food you reheat most often. And if you're interested in living longer, staying active, and protecting your health after 60, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week, we bring you evidence-based health information designed specifically for older adults. Now let's begin. Every day, billions of people around the world reheat leftovers. It's convenient, economical, and helps reduce food waste. But while reheating food may seem harmless, food science tells a much more complicated story. When food is cooked for the first time, proteins unfold, fats melt, and carbohydrates change structure. These are normal processes. However, after food spends hours or days in the refrigerator, oxygen, moisture, bacteria, and time begin altering those nutrients. When heat is applied again, new chemical reactions can occur. Some of these reactions create compounds associated with oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, DNA damage, and cellular aging. What makes this especially concerning is that these changes are completely invisible. You can't smell them. You can't taste them. You can't see them. Yet they may still affect your health. Today we'll discuss 4 foods that millions of people reheat every week without realizing what may be happening beneath the surface. Let's start with the first food, rice. Rice is one of the most consumed foods on Earth. More than 3 billion people rely on it as a dietary staple. In countless homes, leftover rice is stored in the refrigerator and reheated the next day without a second thought. Unfortunately, rice presents a unique challenge. Raw rice naturally contains bacterial spores known as Bacillus cereus. These spores are remarkably resilient and can survive the cooking process. If cooked rice is left at room temperature too long or cooled improperly before refrigeration, the bacteria can multiply and produce toxins. Many people assume that reheating destroys any danger. Unfortunately, some toxins produced by these bacteria can survive reheating. While occasional exposure is unlikely to cause serious harm in healthy individuals, repeated exposure is not something experts recommend. But that's only part of the story. There is another concern involving a chemical compound known as acrylamide. Acrylamide forms when certain carbohydrates and amino acids are exposed to high temperatures. Researchers have spent decades studying this compound because animal studies have linked high levels of exposure to cancer development. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. Does this mean eating reheated rice causes cancer? No. Science does not support such a simple conclusion. However, repeated heating of starchy foods may increase exposure to compounds that researchers continue to monitor closely. The safest approach is surprisingly simple. Cool rice quickly after cooking. Refrigerate it promptly. Consume it within 24 hours whenever possible. And avoid reheating it multiple times. Now let's move on to the second food. This one may surprise many viewers because it is often considered one of the healthiest foods available. Chicken. If you've ever prepared meals in advance, there's a good chance you've cooked several portions of chicken and stored them in containers for the week. Millions of people do exactly that. Chicken is high in protein, relatively low in fat, and widely recommended as part of a healthy diet. The problem isn't the chicken itself. The concern involves what can happen when animal proteins are repeatedly exposed to high temperatures. During reheating, compounds known as heterocyclic amines or HCAs may form. HCAs have attracted significant attention from researchers because laboratory studies have shown they can interact with DNA. Scientists believe these compounds may contribute to genetic mutations under certain conditions. The hotter the cooking temperature and the more frequently food is exposed to intense heat, the greater the potential formation of these compounds. Reheating chicken may also accelerate protein oxidation and fat oxidation. Oxidation is essentially a form of molecular damage. As oxidation increases, unstable molecules known as free radicals are generated. These free radicals can place stress on cells throughout the body. Oxidative stress has been associated with cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, accelerated aging, and several chronic health conditions. Again, this doesn't mean chicken is unhealthy. In fact, chicken can absolutely be part of a healthy eating plan. The key is minimizing unnecessary reheating and avoiding excessive temperatures. If you have leftover chicken, consider using it cold in salads, wraps, or sandwiches. If reheating is necessary, use gentle heat and avoid overcooking. But what we're about to discuss next may be even more surprising because the third food is often called a superfood by health experts around the world, and few people realize what may happen when it is stored and reheated. Now let's talk about the third food, spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens. This is where many health-conscious people become surprised. Spinach is often considered one of the healthiest foods on the planet. It contains vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, and plant compounds that support heart health, brain function, immune function, and healthy aging. If someone asked me to name a vegetable that most older adults should eat more often, spinach would absolutely be near the top of the list. So why is it included in today's discussion? The answer lies in a fascinating chemical process that takes place after spinach has been cooked and stored. Spinach naturally contains compounds called nitrates. In their natural form, nitrates are generally not harmful and may even provide benefits for blood vessel function and blood pressure regulation. However, once cooked spinach is placed in the refrigerator, bacteria naturally present on the food can begin converting nitrates into nitrites. This process occurs gradually over time. Then comes the second step. When spinach is reheated, those nitrites can participate in additional chemical reactions that may lead to the formation of compounds known as nitrosamines. Nitrosamines have been studied extensively by cancer researchers for decades. Numerous laboratory studies have demonstrated their ability to damage cells and genetic material. This doesn't mean that eating reheated spinach guarantees harm. It doesn't. But it does help explain why many food scientists recommend minimizing the reheating of nitrate-rich vegetables whenever possible. What makes this particularly important for older adults is that aging bodies become less efficient at repairing cellular damage. The same exposure that a younger body may tolerate easily can sometimes create greater stress in older tissues. That's one reason why preventive habits become increasingly valuable as we age. If you prepare spinach, consider making only the amount you plan to eat. If leftovers remain, many experts recommend consuming them cold rather than reheating them. And now we arrive at the fourth and final food. This is the one that surprises almost everyone. In fact, when many people first hear this, they assume it must be incorrect because eggs have such a strong reputation as a healthy food. But remember, today's discussion is not about whether a food is healthy or unhealthy. It's about what may happen when that food is repeatedly exposed to heat. Eggs are among the most nutrient-dense foods available. They contain complete protein, essential amino acids, choline for brain health, selenium for antioxidant protection, and nutrients that support vision and cognitive function. For older adults trying to maintain muscle mass, preserve memory, and support overall health, eggs can be an excellent choice. The concern begins after eggs are cooked and then reheated. Egg yolks contain both fats and cholesterol. During the initial cooking process, some oxidation naturally occurs. This is normal. However, when cooked eggs are refrigerated and later reheated, especially at high temperatures, additional oxidation may occur. This process can create compounds known as oxysterols. Over the past decade, oxysterols have become a growing area of scientific research. Researchers are investigating how these oxidized cholesterol compounds may contribute to inflammation, cellular dysfunction, and oxidative stress. Oxidative stress occurs when the body produces more damaging free radicals than it can effectively neutralize. Over time, excessive oxidative stress has been associated with aging and many chronic diseases. Another issue involves the proteins found within eggs. Repeated exposure to high heat can further alter protein structures, potentially making them more difficult to digest for some individuals. Microwave reheating may be particularly problematic because microwaves often create uneven hot spots that expose certain portions of food to very high temperatures while leaving other portions relatively cool. This uneven heating may accelerate some of the chemical reactions we've discussed throughout today's video. Does this mean you should stop eating eggs? Absolutely not. Eggs remain one of the most nutritious foods available. The lesson is simply that eggs are often best enjoyed fresh whenever possible. If you prepare hard-boiled eggs ahead of time, consider eating them cold rather than reheating them. Now let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture because this is where many viewers misunderstand the message. The purpose of this video is not to create fear around food. Fear rarely improves health. Knowledge does. The foods we've discussed today are not unhealthy foods. Rice, chicken, spinach, and eggs can all play important roles in a healthy diet. What matters is understanding how food changes after cooking, during storage, and during reheating. Small habits repeated every day can have surprisingly large effects over years and decades. Many of the most powerful health decisions aren't dramatic. They aren't expensive. They don't require special supplements or complicated diets. They involve simple daily choices. Cooling leftovers quickly, storing food properly, avoiding repeated reheating, using gentle temperatures whenever possible, preparing portions that reduce excessive leftovers. These small habits may help reduce unnecessary exposure to compounds associated with oxidation and inflammation while preserving more of the nutritional value of your meals. Before we finish, I want to share something important. One of the biggest mistakes people make in health is assuming that disease appears suddenly. In reality, most chronic illnesses develop slowly. They are often influenced by thousands of small decisions repeated over time. Every meal matters. Every habit matters. Every choice matters. No single meal will determine your future health. But the habits you repeat year after year can absolutely influence the direction of your life. That's why education matters. That's why understanding food matters. And that's why conversations like this are worth having. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 4 foods surprised you the most? Was it rice, chicken, spinach, or eggs? Tell me in the comments below. I genuinely enjoy reading your responses, and many future videos are inspired by the questions and experiences shared by viewers like you. If you found today's information helpful, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with a friend or family member. There is a good chance someone you care about reheats one or more of these foods every week without ever thinking about the science behind it. Sharing this video may help them make more informed decisions about their health. Thank you for spending these minutes with me today. Remember, healthy aging isn't about perfection. It's about making better choices more often. Stay informed, stay active, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.